You've got to put yourself out there, right? I think one thing I talked about actually this morning was this ability to be confident, right? You can't become confident unless you're willing to face rejection and you become vulnerable, right? And a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there. And this is a new chapter in my life, and I'm just putting myself out there. You got to get on video. You got to put yourself out there. You got to do the things that no one else wants to do that make you a little bit uncomfortable, because that's how you start winning.
Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales, but the reality is it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is attention equals dollars. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars. Welcome back to the Attention Equals Dollars podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler, where each week I bring to you experts of their craft, those that have gotten attention and turned it into sales and revenue for their business. I've brought you experts from across the country that have built massive entrepreneurial empires, and today I'm excited to welcome my friend Judge Graham. Judge, you're an expert at getting attention. You have the marketing mind, the marketing background that I'm so proud to also have. You're the founder of Think Bigger, Conquer Faster, right?
Yep,
so I want to talk about what that is. I want to talk about your journey to success, what you're doing now. You've got a really interesting story. And this whole show is about teaching my audience what you've done to get attention and what you've done to turn that into revenue, into sales. And you're a master at what you've done. So I'm excited to dive into that. So welcome to the show, Judge.
Thanks, man. I'm super excited to be on here. I love this. Attention equals dollars. You get it. It's good, brother. I love it.
Man, it's the truth. It's something that far too many people don't understand. They want their advertisements to convert. They want their business revenue to grow. But the problem is nobody knows who they are. Or if people do know who, John Smith is, they don't know what John Smith does. And that's a major problem that we're trying to fix.
Right. Yeah, I love it, man.
Let's go back to the beginning. So you're in a new stage of life. You're doing some really awesome things. So tell me what brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, great, man. So serial entrepreneur, right? I've been at the lowest low and now at the highest high. And similar to you, been in digital marketing, right? So I've taken digital marketing companies, specifically agencies, and really what my new book's about, Scale with Speed, and figured out the proven formula to take a company literally from zero to, a lot, and then package and position that company to sell. So my background, all digital marketing, primarily digital media, user experience, web design and development, and have sold a couple agencies. And with that success, this new journey that I'm on is taking those core fundamental principles and helping businesses scale with speed and grow and realize financial freedom.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's go back to the beginning. I mean, what got you into the agency life? I mean, how did you end up in that arena?
Yeah, so I went to school at TCU, Texas Christian University, started out there playing football and found a degree that was called e-business at the time. And e-business was core competencies in computer science, excuse me, and also marketing and kind of just the fundamentals of business. And then that really got me turned on to digital, right? This was in 96, 97, 98, when, .com was kind of, booming. And so I took that knowledge and really started with web design and development. And so my first company spun up a web design development company, started doing really well there, but then realized it was project-based, right? Every day was a new day, brother. Every month was a new month, right? So if I sold $100,000, that meant next month I had to sell another 100. So that's when I realized the power of recurring revenue. And that's when I got more into the game that you're in now, which is digital media, social, and helping clients build retainers, right? That help fuel recurring revenue for the businesses that I built and also help drive massive revenues for the clients that I worked with. So it all started there, kind of started in web design and development, and then grew quickly into more what I call conversion optimization, direct response, digital, and social.
I love it. Let's talk about recurring revenue for a minute, because I saw you did a video on Facebook yesterday, I believe, or that's at least when I saw it, about the way to grow, the way to scale is you've got to get recurring revenue. And that's something that I learned early on when we were a video production and web design shop. I was doing exactly what you're talking about, man. I was hunting something new every day.
Sure.
And next month it wasn't there because we didn't have recurring revenue. And that's when things changed. That's when we were able to build the bankroll, was when we got that recurring revenue. So for a young entrepreneur or a new entrepreneur, or maybe somebody that's been in it for a long time that hasn't figured out the recurring revenue model, how do you get to that point? How can you build that recurring revenue model for your business, and why is it so important?
Yeah, great. And I also just did a whole podcast on this. I would encourage everybody to check that out. But I believe if you want to scale, right, specifically and have speed, and if you want to have you want to create a ton of cash, right, and you want the ability to sell your company at some point, recurring revenue it's critical. You have to have it, right? And so when I talk about recurring revenue, it's great to use an example, right? When you think about Warren Buffett, it's all about compounding. Right? If you can consistently get, if you're selling 10 new accounts every month at $5,000 a month, right? That's helping my math. That's 50 grand a month, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the next month you do that again. Well, now you have 100 grand per month. And the next month you do it, you have 150,000, and that just keeps compounding. And then all of a sudden you have the ability to have a little bit of breathing room. Most small businesses fail because they're lacing up every day, baby, right? You got to go sell something new to survive. When you have that consistent recurring revenue, it allows you to forecast out and have some predictability in your business. And when you have predictability, decisions become easier. They don't become as scary. You got to make a big nut every month on paying for rent or employees. You got to make a big decision to grow your business. If you don't have that predictability in revenue, you're rolling the dice. You might as well go to Vegas, right? Because you're only good as your last sale, right? So recurring revenue, I don't care what kind of business you're in. You could sell AC units, right? A recurring revenue model in AC units would be come up with a maintenance contract, right? Come in and once a month and clean out the AC. There's ways in every business. You put a business in front of me, I can help create a recurring revenue model, and I can change people's stress levels and their financial futures with recurring revenue.
Yeah, it's ongoing value. And I think in the agency world that it's an obvious thing that's how agencies make their money, but it's not like that, in every other business. And I think a lot of people have a hard time figuring that out, but it's what can you do to provide ongoing support, ongoing value. And I love the AC example, because it's a lot of people are like, well, I install this thing, or I do this one thing, I make this one adjustment, and it's done. And you've got to look and find those little things that are going to keep people coming back to you month after month after month. So, I mean, and recurring revenue is, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing today if we didn't have recurring revenue. But before you can have that, number one, people have got to think of you before they think of your competitors. People have got to know why you are the best. They've got to, perception is reality, and they've got to perceive you as the answer to their solutions. And that's something that I've noticed that you're great at doing. You've moved into this next chapter in your life. You're doing your own thing, and we're going to get into that. And I see every single day, I see Judge Graham in my newsfeed.
I love that.
It's got me thinking about you. It's got me seeing you. And even for those that might see you and aren't completely clear on what you do, you're saying something every single day that piques my interest, that's going to get me to reach out and say, Judge, man, that's an awesome video. I like that topic that you just brought up on recurring revenue. What is it that you do? So, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand, is just being seen is better than not being seen at all, because you don't really know what to say. Even if people aren't 100% sure what it is you do, you're putting content out. You're getting my attention on a daily basis, and people are going to figure it out. Number one, if the content is good quality content. So talk to me about some of the things that you're doing now, Judge, to promote the new chapter that you've opened in your life, and what you're doing, on your own.
Yeah. And I think one thing is you got to be passionate, right? Like Absolutely. I think when you love what you do, it becomes easier, right? So for me, because I have reached this financial freedom in my life, this is fun for me, man. Business is a sport, right? People have hobbies. This is my hobby, right? Winning in the marketplace is my hobby. And, if you're right, you've got to put yourself out there, right? I think one thing I talked about actually this morning was this ability to be confident, right? You can't become confident unless you're willing to face rejection and you become vulnerable, right? And, a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there. And this is a new chapter in my life. And I'm just putting myself out there. You got to get on video. You got to put yourself out there. You got to do the things that no one else wants to do that make you a little bit uncomfortable, because that's how you start winning. Right?
Absolutely.
And so for me, I know I can help entrepreneurs and small businesses scale their businesses with speed, make a ton of money and sell. And I want to get that message out because at my core, my why is about helping people achieve what I've achieved.
I love that. So what are your thoughts on something that comes up in everybody's thought process when they're just getting started with this? Is, you said overcoming rejection, and really it's, what if people don't like what I say? What if people make fun of my videos? What if people don't agree with me? And every single person that I've ever come in contact with when they're getting started with this, they always ask me that. Look, what if I don't want to annoy my friends? What if my Facebook friends don't like what I have to say? I have my opinion on that. I'm curious to get yours, because you're pumping out content like crazy now.
You know what? I envy children, right? Think about, you have kids, right?
I know where you're going with this. I don't have kids, but I know where you're going.
Okay. So think about, kids from 2 to 5, and it's relevant for me because I've got an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they're relentless, man. They will go out. They will ask you anything. If they want something, they just put it out there, right? They're not scared of what anybody's going to say. They almost have this ability and confidence. Yeah. They want to get on a stage and dance in front of 100 people. They just do it, Yeah. So I think as adults, for whatever reason, as we age, people start to crush that spirit, right? And I think that you have to get out there and just do it like you were a kid, right? Mm-hmm. And the annoying part when you're saying, hey, you're going to start posting this, the way I look at it is, if you don't like my content, then cool, just don't follow me anymore, right? There's how many people are in the world? There's billions of people.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission to help the people that want positivity, productivity, and profitability. And if you're not interested in those 3 things, then don't follow me.
Yeah. I love that. And so I think it was Gary Vaynerchuk a while ago that said something that kind of changed how I thought about it, to where he uses those that dislike him as that's his filter, sure. Right? He wants the people to come out of the woodwork that don't like him, and because that's going to essentially filter out those that aren't going to be a good fit to work with him. And once I heard that, because I used to hate when I hate controversy. I don't like when somebody's mad at me. If we've upset a client, I can't sleep until we make it right. Sure. So naturally, I was that guy as well. I was terrified to put content out, and that's important for all of you watching or listening today. I'm that guy that you see pumping content on a daily basis. I also was terrified of what others might think. But when I started to realize that the more people that would talk shit about me to my business partner, or talk shit about me to me, the more of that I saw, the more of a loyal following I saw. Sure. So everybody talks about, having haters, and you don't just have to be Kanye West and Kim Kardashian to have haters. Right. Haters going to be somebody that doesn't agree with you. Maybe doesn't like the way you look, or doesn't like the fact that you have enough confidence to put your content out there. The more of those that I've gotten, the more of the loyal followers, the people that want to do business with me, the people that want to follow my content, that has also grown. Totally. Have you seen the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a big difference, and I talk about this a lot, between confidence and arrogance, right? Confidence is the ability to be confident and assured in what you're doing, where arrogance is arrogance, right? It's you think you know it, but you don't. So I truly believe if you're confident and you know in your heart you're bringing value, then you need to put it out there. And if people don't want to be receptive to it, then those aren't your close circle anyhow. Life is too short, man. You've got to focus on who you want to surround yourself. Time is sacred. I talk about this concept of time and sacred. I don't care how much money you have, you can't buy more time, right? Exactly. You can't make more time. So you want to surround yourself and use your time with things that are moving you forward, and people that are positive in your life.
Yeah, I love that. And you talk about the difference between confidence and arrogance, and I think that's a great point to bring up. And it's something that I'm a big advocate of. If you're an expert on what you do and you stay in that lane, that's why I have no problem coming as often and as hard as I do on social media, because I'm not talking about things that I don't have extreme confidence in, right? I'm not talking about personal development, right? I'm not an expert in that field. So if I start talking a bunch about that and having a bunch of vibrato about it, I'm going to come off as arrogant because I'm not an expert in that. Maybe you're an expert in that. I'm an expert when it comes to digital marketing, getting attention, social media. So I'm very confident in that realm. So I think it's one of those things that if you stay in your lane of what you're an expert in,
totally,
it's okay to come hard and come heavy and to be frequent, because you're not trying to be the Yoda of all things. That's arrogance.
Yeah.
If you're, go ahead, please.
One thing I talk about a lot is niche will get you rich, right? Inch wide, and I love this too, inch wide and a mile deep. And, Luke, you're doing that. You're doing a great job.
Let's talk about that, because that's something, honestly, that my company in the last 6 months has just started to really niche down. So I do want to talk about that. Niche will get you rich. Break that down for us. What does that mean?
And then inch wide and mile deep, right? So when you become an inch wide and a mile deep, think about this. Your processes become easier. Your staff becomes more focused. How you make decisions become easier. Your results, you become a market leader. Everything allows you to scale with speed when you go an inch wide and a mile deep, right?
Because with sharks. Does it go back to? It's the same thing where you're confident about your expertise. You're staying in your lane. You are the expert on all things chiropractic, all things in the market realm. We work with real estate agents. We work with ski resorts. That's our expertise. So that helps us stand out from all the other people out there that are doing marketing. They're not the expert in this niche. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, completely. And I believe we're in a transformation right now as a society where there's so many entrepreneurial businesses and there's so many options internationally 24/7. If you don't, get the attention, right? Have the proof to back it up and are specialized, you lose in this marketplace. Mm-hmm. Right. And I walk into companies and I help them realize that. It's like, dude, listen, what do you do? I do all these things. No, you don't do, you do too many things. We need to get focused and do what you're going to be the best at and give you the best opportunity to be a market leader.
How can somebody begin to niche down if they're that person? Because I know the first time, a long time ago, when I heard somebody talking about niching down, and they said exactly what you said, you can't do all things. Well, that's what I was trying to do back in the day, because I needed to land grab as much as I can to build the revenue. How can somebody begin to niche down, pick a niche that's going to be profitable for them? How do I not pick the wrong niche? How can we begin the niche down?
Yeah, it's scary, right? But it takes a lot of self-reflection, right? And especially from an entrepreneur, and let me use an example, right? Let's say you're doing 3 different things now, right? How I would look at those 3 different things, let's use your business as example. We're making this up, right? But let's say it was social, it was web design, and it was user experience, right?
Right.
We would then look at your business and say, out of those 3 right now, Luke, what are you the happiest to do? What do you think you're the best at? Right? That would be a question. Second, which one are you making the most revenue at? Right? Third, which currently of your staff does the best at those 3 things? That's a great place to start, right? And most business owners don't want to have that conversation because it's a tough one, right? Mm-hmm. And then, every business has a pain in the ass client that you've kept and you've held on to because you're scared because they're bringing revenue. Well, that becomes this huge weight on your back. And once you release that, brother, once you become niche, you understand your value proposition, your who, what, why, how, and you're focused on that, you grow, right? And you don't just grow a little bit, it's exponential. That's the conversation I have.
So when somebody's niching down, Yeah, like you said, it's scary. I mean, we've had to cut some clients that they don't fit where we're going, and you lose that revenue to begin with. But then what we've seen, at least, and tell me if you agree or disagree with that, we might lose 10%, 15% of our monthly revenue when we begin to niche down, because we're cutting out people that aren't a good fit. Maybe it's more, the client's more of a headache than we're actually being able to provide value to them. So we initially lose that. But then as we begin to, let's say, so we're doing a lot in the real estate space, right? I've noticed my call volume daily going from like one real estate person a week to I'm doing like 5, 6, 8, 10 real estate calls a day.
Love
and the message is consistent from one to the next, which means I'm looking like more of the expert in that space than what I was before. So now we pick up more people in that niche that replace that business. So initially, yeah, we lose revenue.
Sure.
It's not like, well, I've got to replace it that same day. You're going to lose it.
Yeah.
So is that something that people can expect? Have we gone about that the wrong way? What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's total. It's the right way. And what's great, at least in my experience, I'm a practitioner, right? Yep. Dude, I'm a guy that has failed and won and been in the trenches. So when I'm giving advice, it's because I either screwed that up or I overcame that, right? Or I dodged it. So one of the things you can look at too is if you have multiple, different things you're offering, you can also look at your staff, right? If you have, let's say you're trying to do content, let's say you're trying to do social, and you're also trying to do website design and development. Those are 3 different core skill sets. Those are big salaries, right? So as you look at, hey, I've also got to cut that client and lose that revenue, it's also an opportunity to optimize your overhead, right? Because if you don't do that anymore, you may have current staff that you either reallocate or you may not need anymore. So there's some trade-off there that works out.
Let's talk about something. So in your website, it says, I live by the mindset of think bigger and conquer faster. So we're talking about niching down, but at the same time, you're all about thinking bigger. And I understand what you're talking about, but explain to my audience, what do you mean by thinking bigger when we're talking about, but you got to niche down to a smaller audience.
Right.
What are we talking about with think bigger?
I want you to own the market, baby. I want you to be the leader, right? When you're thinking bigger, it's still inch wide and it's a mile deep, right? But you're thinking as big as possible, right? So if Impact wants to be known in social generating direct response leads for real estate, right? I want that to be international.
Yeah,
I want you
not
to
in my hometown.
Yeah, I want you as big as possible, right? Most companies and small businesses I work with, they think on a geographic footprint that's small, right? With technology, and if you're the market leader, you can play at the highest level, right? And so I am still inch wide, mile deep, but we got to think big, as big as possible.
Well, I think that is a direct has a direct impact on your marketing and the messaging as well, to where that's something that our friends at 2 Market Media really helped me understand, to where, Luke, you're wanting to be the face of this industry, but your message isn't portraying that. So yeah, I'm thinking bigger, but your message and your marketing also has to portray that. We're the best in the world at what we do. I believe that.
Yeah.
Now, at all times, I wasn't saying that, right? Because I was trying to have that nice mixture of being the expert, but being humble. And something that they've really helped me see is, in order to not only think bigger, but reach those goals, you've got to portray yourself as that big. We are the best at what we do. So when you're going to get attention, number one, you got to think bigger, but number two, your message has got to be bigger as well. Would you agree?
Totally. 100%. In the minute that you stop thinking that way, you start to lose. Back to that confidence thing, right? There's levels, right? If you want to play at this highest level, you got to be operating, like what Grant would say, at 10x, but even constantly operating at 10x, but thinking at 10x too.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think it all starts with a mindset shift. I mean, number one, you've got to overcome the fear of what others might think. Number two, you've got to be able to determine where are you going to be the best. You can't be that guy that provides, or that gal that provides a service to anybody and everybody. And then number three, you've got to think bigger. I don't want you to own the market in, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I want you to be, even if that's where you're located, you need to be the best in the world. People need to seek you out.
Yeah. You may start there, but it needs to get bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a great example. There's a chiropractor that I follow. I have this weird obsession with watching people crack backs. I don't know what it is. So on YouTube, I follow this guy. His name's Dr. Gregory Johnson. He's in Houston, right? He doesn't have practices around the world, but he thought bigger. He wanted to be the face of chiropractic care. And guess what? People fly from all over the world to come to Houston where this guy operates. Mm-hmm. So number one, he's getting attention. He's getting massive attention because he's positioned himself as the best. He does operate out of Houston, but a lot of people would make the mistake of saying, well, I'm just going to market to those in Houston. He markets to the entire world. Yeah. He's positioned himself. He's thought big enough to be the best in the world, and he's attracting clientele from from way outside of his immediate bounds. And I think that's, when you're talking about thinking bigger, I think that's something that a localized business, they could have that goal with that.
Right. Yeah. And the other part of that is the conquer faster, right? And this is where I think
I was going to ask next. Let's talk about that. So think bigger, and then you have conquer faster. Let's talk about that.
So a lot of business, you've heard this, and I hate this. Hey, life isn't a race, it's a marathon. Or Luke, slow down. Your business, it's a marathon. Listen, dude, the marketplace will fucking kill you. It will punish you if you slow down. Let me be clear. You have to conquer faster, and you have to get the right processes, the procedure. You got to be niche, and you've got to have a system that allows you to run to scale, right? So anybody that's telling you think bigger and, jog at a slow pace, you will lose.
Yeah, I love that. So I knew that's one of the main reasons I think I resonate with what you're saying, because I can tell that's your method of thinking by the intensity that you bring at all times. I'm the same way. I think there's a big difference from expecting it to happen tomorrow, and when it doesn't, you give up. Yeah. I expect myself to make my goals that might not happen for 10 years. I expect myself to hit those goals today, tomorrow, the next day. So I want to conquer faster, but something that you got to understand watching or listening today, if you don't hit those goals today, tomorrow, you can't be that guy that says, well, fuck, it didn't work. I'm going to go back to doing what I did. You've got to conquer faster, have that mentality, but understand that when it doesn't happen tomorrow, if you keep wanting it to happen the next day and doing what you can do to make it happen the next day, it will happen. But, I'm just 18, I'm 20, I'm only 30, I got time. That's fucking bullshit. You don't know what's going to happen the next day, the next month. Yeah. So I love your mindset on that. I think that's
perfect. You got to celebrate the wins along the way, right? I 100%. Think the other thing is, if you're thinking up here, if you don't constantly motivate, reward yourself, reward your team, one thing when I talk a lot is, you're not a business unless you have a team and people. You can't scale to get massive amounts of income or sell your business if it's just you. You're a sole proprietor at that point, right? You can make a great living, you can have passive income, but you can't grow a monster business without people, and you can't grow that business without celebrating those wins along the way. That's how you keep that speed, right? You keep everybody motivated, everybody focused, everybody's clear and aligned on what we're doing, and it's a team sport at that point, but you're running, brother.
Yeah, that's something that I think my company, my partner and I have worked to try to get better at. We're still not the greatest at. I'm definitely probably the worst at it as far as celebrating the wins. My partner is much better at it, and I've seen him put his foot down on certain things where it's no today. Hey, we're little things, man. We're doing a cookout on a Friday. We've had a great month. We're going to celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm so head down, so focused that I forget about it. And I forget about it with my wife, with my family, with my employees, and it's a mistake. And I think that's something that I love that you bring that up, because far too many people either, number one, celebrate every fucking win.
Right.
That's a mistake. You made it to Friday. Congratulations. So did everybody else. Right. Yeah. But then there's some people that never celebrate the wins. And I'm somewhere in between, but I'm closer to, I don't celebrate them enough. And I've got to remember that my staff, my team, doesn't own this thing, right?
Yeah.
They're here because they want to have fun. I've got to make it fun for them. I've got to keep them passionate about it. And I think what you're talking about was celebrating those victories. It's a key component to that for sure.
Yeah. And culture's key too.
Absolutely.
I think culture is a game changer within organizations, right? Whether you're selling a product or service, specifically service, because your people are your capital, right? And the stronger your culture is, the more productivity you're going to have.
Yeah, I love it. Judge, you're doing awesome things, man. I've enjoyed following your content the last several months and learning your story and seeing what you're doing. And you've got the book coming out. Talk to us a little bit about that book. When's that going to be ready, and where can we find more info about it?
So I'm hoping a couple months, right? This is my first book, and so it's Scale with Speed, right? And the whole book is the premise of, I wanted to write a book that was from a practitioner, perspective. And so anybody that is up late at night, they can't sleep, they're trying to make payroll, they're trying to figure out how to grow their business, this is going to become kind of a manifesto or a guide, right? And it's a formula that spells speed, right? So speed is start with your end game, right? Pick your niche, execute with speed, energize your culture, and then dominate your top priorities. So that's the speed formula. And I go into detail on each one of those, on how you do that. How do you keep that pace up? And then what are actual practical things, like a one-page strategic plan, right? Yeah. The Conquer and a Growth Attack plan, how to run a meeting, right? How to make the decisions, so some core things, how to get your team aligned, right? Yeah. How do you actually create a world-class culture that motivates everybody to win? That's what the book's about. It's about winning in the marketplace.
I think it's a book that a lot of businesses, big and small, need definitely small, because I see a lot of talented entrepreneurs that I speak with across the country, meet with across the country, that don't understand the concept of scaling, right? Everything down to a cupcake shop, right? You're dominating the wedding market. You've got the best cupcake in town. How can you scale that? Right. And I think it's a matter of, some people settle for comfort, settle for just enough. Maybe that's paying their bills and they're able to go on that one vacation a year. But what if one thing happens? It's the Matt Monero, you need more money theory. What if one thing throws a wrench into that? If you're not scaling your business, you might not see it. You might not think of it this way, but your business is slowly shriveling up and dying. Scaling is going to be what makes it 100-year company. And if you don't scale it beyond you, it might not even live the lifespan that you have. So I think scaling's a big thing. That's something that Jeff and I are working heavily on. And we're at the point right now to where we've defined our niches. We're growing it in that niche. And I think it's something that your book can help us. I think your book can help a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I talk to so many businesses, and people start business because they're excited. Yeah. Right. But if you really sat down, most people start because they knew they could make a great cupcake, or they knew that they did really well on social, but they really didn't sit down and say, what do I want in 5 years? What's my end game? Right. Is my end game to create a legacy business I pass down? Is my end game to have a lifestyle business where I can take a couple of vacations and pull, 3 or 4, 500 grand? Or is it to grow a freaking monster business where you're taking distributions of, $1 million and you're selling it for hundreds of millions of dollars, right? If you don't know what your end game is, then you can't map out what you need to do and the decisions that need to be made along the way. So this book helps you put in perspective, what do you want and how do you get there? And here are the steps to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Judge, your content's awesome. Where can we find more about you? What are your social media channels? I want my following to follow you, because you're putting out a ton of advice on a daily basis that is applicable to every small business owner, every big business owner. Where can we find more of you?
Yeah, the best way is just go to my website, judgegraham.com, and almost all of my social handles are at judgegraham.com.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, listen, guys, I bring my expert friends to you on a weekly basis. Judge is a prime example of somebody that has, number one, defined his craft, niche down, figured out what he's great at. But then the big thing is how Judge has gotten attention. And we talked about a couple of things today that are going to help you get attention in the marketplace. And something that we haven't talked about until this episode that is huge, it's picking. You want to get the attention of every single person. They're not your customer. You need to get mass exposure within your niche. That's how you're going to provide value to the right people. That's how you're going to grow. That's how you're going to scale faster. Be sure to check out Judge's content. His book's coming out soon. I'm on his website right now. You can pre-order that book on his website as well as find his other social media content. Be sure to, if you're watching this on Facebook, like the Luke Nesler Facebook page. Leave us a review. Share it out with a friend. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. And then most importantly, man, I would appreciate it if you would go to iTunes. The way we're going to be able to find more people and help more people on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe, share it with a friend. If I brought you value today, if you like what Judge had to say, share it with a friend. We don't charge for this. We just want to help people grow their business, scale faster, and dominate like what Judge is helping people do. Judge, I'm looking forward to doing more stuff with you, man. I appreciate you being on the show today.
Yeah, brother. It was awesome. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Is your business struggling right now? You might think that it's because you don't have enough sales, but the reality is it's because you don't have the attention of the marketplace. This is attention equals dollars. You deserve more. Your business deserves more. And I'm here to teach you everything that I know on how to get the attention that you need and to turn that attention into dollars.